All right, so with the bass, I'm going to do kind of something similar. I'm going to go with an EQ, and I'm going to do a high and a low pass filter again. So with that high pass filter, let me just roll off everything under about 35 hertz, give or take. The high pass, let me roll off everything over, let's just go about 15K right now. I'm going to skip a slot. And then I'll boost, start to sweep a little bit between that 60 and 80 hertz range. So I boosted the bass around 70 hertz. If you remember, I boosted the kick around 100 hertz. So I didn't boost them in the same area. We don't want them clashing at all. So I wanted to kind of bring out some of that low end tone, some of that beautiful tone on that bass. So I just boosted that a bit. So let's check them out. All right, so let's bring in the keys. So I looped an area. So I'm going to go back. So the screen that you mix on is up to you. This is the edit window where you're looking at the waveforms. And then, of course, there's the mix window. So a lot of times I'll go back and forth. But since I looped, I just want to come back to this page, take that loop off, and just start it from the top. And I can take these solos off now. Since all of these tracks are soloed, once again, if I shift option or shift alt, left click, it's going to go ahead and take the solo off of all those tracks. Let's check it out. And let me jump to the mix window just to see what that overall output is coming in at. All right, let me bring that keyboard down. I want that kick to come through a little bit more. So now I'm going to come in, and that slot I left open, I'm going to add a compressor. So I got to reiterate, this method I'm using, this isn't necessarily the right way or the wrong way. That's the beauty of this craft. I like to just have fun when I'm mixing. I don't like to get too caught up in, I better do this, I better do that. I mean, I know I'm going to EQ, I know I'm going to compress. Most engineers are going to do that. The order that I do things is what it is. At different phases in my career as an audio engineer, I did things different ways. As I learned new steps, I would do things different ways. As I took advice from other engineers that might, modify what I was doing at those points in time. But for me, once again, the goal is to always be like water. Get to the point where it's just like, what tools you're going to use, what you're going for. Of course, I could use a reference track. Reference tracks are always good. I may pull one in at some point as I'm moving forward with this mix. But at first, I just want it to feel good to me. So that's how I'm approaching it. So I threw this compressor in. So let's compress this kick. I want to bring it out. I want to make it a little bit fatter in the mix. Ratio 6:1. It's a low frequency instrument, those really big waves that we want to control. And threshold, bring that down and bring the gain up. I don't want to peak at any stage. Yeah, I don't like to peak. So gain staging is always important. So even though I did boost that makeup gain, I don't want to create a situation where I'm peaking at all. And peaking is an interesting thing. Right now, for me, it's about discipline. But, if you do see that red peak meter and you're not hearing digital distortion or you're not hearing digital clipping, you could argue that there's no problem. But again, for me, it's let me just be disciplined on this track. And if I see that peaking, I'm going to bring down this makeup gain because it was something I did that caused that peaking to occur. All right, I'm gonna go back to the EQ on that bass. I want to bring out some more of that thump. Bring the bass down a little. All right. Now with this kick, I want to brighten that up. It's a little muddy. So what I will do is I'll do something similar to what I did before. I'll use a high pass filter, take out everything under 40 hertz. And I'm going to sweep to try to find muddiness, which is a lack of clarity. So I want that keyboard to be a little bit brighter. So let's cut some mud on that. All right, let me go back a little. Okay, so I cut at right around 285 hertz. Mud usually lives around 300 hertz, give or take. You're going to have to sweep to determine exactly where that lack of clarity is on any given track, and then you just cut it. Sometimes when you want something to be a little brighter, the instinct is just to start boosting your mids and your highs, but cutting is going to be as effective. And it's not going to be additive. It's just going to take away something that you don't like. So we're going to start there, and then I will add that other equalizer. And then I will add some brightness on the top end. Go back some. I'm going to compress this keyboard as well. Add some compression here. And compression is under dynamics. Hey, and definitely, man, I want to remind you, if you have something you want mixed, if you want to send me the stems, there's going to be a link in the description below. There'll be a form you can fill out. I will be selecting different projects and just mixing them and kind of going through the same process, whether it's hip hop, jazz, rock, soul, R&B, pop. I love to mix. And it's not always about making money either, right? It's about the process. And so, definitely click the link. If you have a mix you want me to work on, make sure you send the stems. And who knows, I might end up mixing one of your projects on a YouTube tutorial. All right, let's get back to business. All right, I'm going to jump around a little. All right, so here in the song, the keyboard player started taking the role of the bass player in his left hand. He started doing the bass line, and the bass player was soloing. So that's definitely going to change everything about this mix at that section. So if I start a little earlier, you'll hear the bass line. Right, but then we get here, all of a sudden, keyboard player starts playing the bass. Now let's see if he does that anywhere else in the song. Oh, that's a different song. Okay, let's see here. All right, so let's think about how we might deal with that. So my first instinct is just to take this track. Let's see. So that's where it starts right there. So I'm just zooming in. Starts right there. Let me split that there and go to the end of the track and see what's going on. So that's kind of the last note. And the good thing about the whole visual is I can see where everything gets loud. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this track here and I'm gonna duplicate that track. And let's see here. Let's duplicate it. I don't need all of this other stuff because I only want to focus on the bass. I want to focus on this part right here. So now I've separated that part where he starts playing the bass line. So first thing I can do, and I could have did this while keeping it on the track, because I could just turn the volume down. But the only thing about that is the keyboard player is playing the bass in his left hand, but he's also got some other chords that he's playing in his right hand. So when I turn it all down, I turn the chords down too. So let's do this. Let's duplicate that again. Cool. And let's use our equalizer to separate the frequencies on that track. All right, so I'll bypass everything else on the track except for the equalizer to start with. And I'm going to mute this second track and just solo the track where we want to focus on what he's doing in his left hand, which is the bass. And so what I'm going to do is use a low pass filter, and I'm going to filter out a lot of the top end and just get to that bass. All right, here we go. There we go. All right, I got that turned down. Yeah, so I'll go up to about 160 on that. And then what I'll do with this other track, remember, this is that same section where the keyboard player was playing bass in his left hand, he was playing chords in his right hand. So with this other equalizer, what I'm going to do is I'll go with the high pass filter, and I'll take that and we'll make that crossover point 160. Because on this first track at 161, right, I cut off everything over 161 just to get the base of what he was doing. So then this other track, let me go 161 as well. So the crossover point is the same. So now let's listen. Now I could turn this bass down. Check it out. So now I could turn the bass down a little bit and still get those chords. So let's listen in context. Take this mute off. All right, let me go over here. I hear that little clip. I don't like it. It's probably where I split the track right here. So I'm just going to use my little fade and just taper that. Got a little, I'm going to taper each one of these right at that point where I split it. I could get a little more precise with my split, but I'm not going to worry about it right now. There we go. Nice and smooth. Then we got the bass player soloing. So I'm going to look at where he's soloing and split that as well. Alright, so I think he ends his solo right about there. So you can see I split that track. Now I can just turn up this clip where he's soloing, so we can really hear that come through. Let's check it out. There we go. Yep. Throw a compressor on that bass track now. 6-to-1 ratio for those low frequency instruments. I'll do a 30 millisecond attack, 80 millisecond release, give or take. And let me go a little bit further back.